Hi, guys. Welcome to the recap show. Today's movie recap will cover a 2020 horror thriller movie named Death of Me. Sit back, grab a drink, and enjoy. The movie's first scene shows the beautiful scenery of the secluded island off the coast of Thailand. After the beautiful cinematics, a couple on vacation on the island, Neil and Christine, wake up to a local giving them fish. Christine notices the weirdness in the atmosphere and sees a necklace she had on her neck. Realizing they were both late for their departure, Christine wakes her husband up. Neil sees some blood and dirt in his hands, and they both wonder what happened the night before. The duo hit the road a few minutes later after waking up and packing up. While in the cab to the dock, they talk about the haziness they feel about the previous night's events. They try remembering what happened the night before, but don't come up with anything. As they talk, Christine notices the cabman taking the wrong way to the ferry. She and Neil try to talk the cabman back to the normal route. Eventually, the cabman gets annoyed and throws them out. Neil and Christine find their way to the ferry, only to find out they left all their documents and ID back at their Airbnb apartment. A few hours later, Neil and Christine are back at their Airbnb. Realizing their documents were already gone, Neil suggests they both relax and chill so they can fix their ID issue when they reach the mainland. Fast forward further around brunch time, and Neil and Christine watch a video recording of the previous night on the camera Neil used to film. In the video, the bartender, Maddie, spikes the couple's drinks with some hallucinogens. This causes dizziness in Neil and Christine. In the next footage, a drunk Neil does the bed thingy with Christine on the grass, after which he chokes her to death shortly after getting into her. Realizing she was gone in the video, Neil digs a grave at the spot and buries her. This sends chills down Christine's spine as she rushes to the bathroom away from Neil, who is just about as confused as we are. While in the bathroom, Christine sees the bruises on her neck and vomits out some grass right just before Neil forces his way in. Just then, Samantha, their temporary neighbor, walks in with her daughter. Later that day, Samantha directs Neil to the island doctor so he could get Christine some native help. A little while later, Neil and Christine are with the island doctor. After a few checkups, the doctor tells them they were dosed with a poisonous substance named Nam Mun Prai. Neil looks it up and finds out the drink was a hallucinogen, hence a reasonable explanation behind the video. Christine doesn't buy the story and tells Neil to show the doctor the video recording from earlier. The doctor gives Christine some medicine, while she hallucinates right on the spot. On their way home, Christine hallucinates again and blames it on Neil. The couple iron things out later on and pay the beach cafe a visit. While there, Neil notices some locals celebrating, so he takes pictures of them for his documentary. Christine lets him do his thing as she's left alone to hallucinate. A few minutes after being left alone, Christine gags a bit and rushes to the bathroom to vomit stuff. In the meantime, Neil becomes dizzy as the crowd dances around him and his camera. A cross scene then shows Christine pulling out a snake from her mouth. At one point in Neil's documentary filming, someone steals his phone. He gets his phone back and returns to the cafe only to find out Christine's missing. Neil gets into survival mode and rushes to the bathroom to find his wife. As Neil continues his search for his wife, a cross scene shows Christine being laid on a weird platform and injected with some unknown substance in the eyes. Neil, on the other hand, runs back into the town square and starts asking the residents if they found his wife. After a few questions, someone yells, "Mr. Oliver, we found your wife." Neil takes care of Christine's hands and asks her what happened to her. She says she was taken to a weird place and saw people with their eyes sewn shut. Thankfully, her husband listens to her and shows her a weird photo of someone like her doing weird stuff. While they check through the camera, Christine spots Maddie, the bartender who gave her the necklace the previous night. The couple follow the only lead they have at the moment and land at Conda, the tattoo artist's shop. Getting there, Christine inquired about the necklace and was even greeted by a customer there for having the necklace. When Conda speaks to them, she tells them the necklace was a special gift for a special guest on the island. Christine doesn't buy into her BS story and asks for Maddie's bar. Conda gives them directions and they get on their way. In the next scene, Christine and Neil arrive at Maddie's bar. The locals there smile eerily at them, which spooks the couple. When they finally meet Maddie, she receives them warmly. Neil tells her the story that transpired the night before, and Maddie smiles. She laughs, even. Christine then proceeds to return the necklace to Maddie. However, as she's about to do so, the locals around the bar start chanting some incantations. With the atmospheric eeriness increasing by the second, Neil takes his wife out of the bar and gets back to their Airbnb. After settling down, Neil tells his wife he's found another boat that could take them to the mainland at that instant. Samantha tries her best to keep them there, all to no avail. At that moment, Neil's seen standing at a dock and staring into the water. Christine approaches him and asks for his phone to call for help. Neil gives her his phone and continues staring into the water. Christine walks away from her husband to get cell reception and finds a very disturbing video on his phone. In the video, Neil is mentioning to the viewers that he and his wife were going to die horrible deaths and are never leaving the island. Christine lets out a gasp and sees a local talking to Neil at the dock. After whispering something into his ears, Neil picks up the knife the local was using to cut fish and rips his own guts out, ending his life in the process. When Christine wakes up, she sees some law enforcement official near her and asks for her husband. She remembers her husband was already gone and tells the officials and Samantha. Fully aware of the situation, Samantha and another official play deaf to Christine's claims and cajoles her back into Samantha's place. In another scene, Christine wakes up in a pale environment to children celebrating and running in circles around her. She stands up and checks out the island. Then, she sees her husband lying down in the distance. She runs to get him but stops midway after seeing rotting bodies on the island. Samantha calls her back to reality, telling her Neil was on the phone. Christine yanks the phone from Samantha and hears garbled voices on the phone. Christine deduces Neil's location and drives there in Samantha's car. In the car, Christine hears the reports about a typhoon hitting the island that night. They get to Neil's proposed location, which was Maddie's bar, in a few minutes. Christine rushes into the bar and picks up a phone. She hears whispers on the other end and immediately transitions into the spirit realm. This time, she sees the people with shut eyes and removes the threading on one of them. This sends her back to reality as she wakes up at Samantha's apartment. Christine asks Samantha how she got back there, and Samantha makes up a shit story about how she passed out and collapsed. Christine remembers some weird stuff. In her flashback, the dead people removed her shorts and put something weird in her as the locals chanted. Christine removes the necklace and gags. Samantha walks back in and gives her the necklace, telling her she might need to see the doctor. She further adds that Neil left the island because he was scared he might hurt his wife again. This was an obvious lie, but Christine believed it. At the doctor's place, it is revealed that Christine was pregnant, much to her surprise. She even asked the doctor during the sonogram whether she was hallucinating, but the doctor says no. At one point, the power flickers as the child kicks violently. When they try to treat her, Christine rushes outside and sees the whole island in an emergency. She meets the official from earlier and tells him she needs to find her husband. The man gives her his cell phone, but she soon finds out it was out of service. Christine makes her way to Canda's tattoo shop. When Canda reveals herself to her, she spills the beans on her pregnancy. Canda then tells her that she was in between dead and alive. She says the spirits were preparing her for the final ritual and all. She then reveals that Nan Prai was corpse oil and had the ability to control his mind. Canda then focuses her attention on her sick son. She begs Christine to grant her son the necklace, and in exchange, she'd help Christine find her husband and get off the island. As they talk, the town elder rings outside. Canda tells Christine to hide while she attends to him. When the awkward meeting is over, Christine walks outside and finds Canda harming herself. Before she passes on, Canda tells Christine to run, and she does so with every strength in her body. Christine runs through the streets and is chased away by the town's locals. Before she gives up hope, Samantha walks by and offers to take her back to the ferry. Christine notices something was off about Sam, as she was dressed like the locals. In the car, however, Nithilda exposes Sam. Apparently, Samantha wasn't taking Christine to the ferry, but was taking the wrong way there. Things finally add up, and Christine finds out Nithilda's mother had been dead, and Samantha helped take her down. Christine flares up after finding out Neil was truly dead. She picks up the revolver pistol and shoots Samantha in the head. This sends the car steering down the road into a tree. When it all stops, Christine runs into the woods and is captured by the locals. By nightfall, Christine wakes up in front of an old gate. She walks towards it, opens it, and sees the horror unfold on the other side. The locals were already waiting for her to be awoken and sacrificed to the gods of their land. Christine walks through the hallway created by the locals as they bow in front of her. When she reaches the altar, the town elder slams some smoky substance, which sends Christine into a deep sleep. When she wakes up, she finds herself tied up to a post. Maddie walks toward her and tells her she always had the choice to leave the island, but she indirectly chose to stay behind. The town elder then tells Christine that the baby in her was one part from her husband and one part from the island. Christine rebuffs his claims and kicks him back. They start the ritual afterward by sewing Christine's eyes shut. This action makes Christine transcend into a scene on the beach with her deceased husband, who forces her to wake up. When Christine comes back to life, she unties herself and frees herself. The typhoon storm starts immediately, and Christine runs away from the post and to the beach. She gets onto a lifeboat and sails further into the ocean with the locals stranded at the shore. The next morning, reports show the remains of a dilapidated island from the typhoon attack. Amidst the ocean, a first aid boat sails onto Christine's lifeboat. They retain her body and wrap it up in a body bag with the others. Before zipping it up, one of the officials puts the necklace into Christine's body bag. In the final movie scene, Christine's half-sewn eyes open wide. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to receive future recaps.